Europeans are loving America. Let's talk. I'm sure a lot of you have seen these videos from Europeans and folks from other countries who've come here for the World Cup and are just loving America. They've been told all these terrible things about America, and they're discovering they're not all true. And as a matter of fact, America has a lot of wonderful things to offer. But there's also been people who've actually been made upset by the fact that there are people loving America. It's actually making some people angry. And I'd like to address that. I think in this world, reference points are really important. I think that when you have never traveled anywhere and pretty much lived in this country and maybe gone to Florida or something for vacation, and you've never been to another country, and yet you want to sit here and be critical of this country, not that this country doesn't have plenty to be critical of, I think that that's a different point of view than somebody who's actually lived someplace else and then has come in here and spent a period of time here. And some of these folks have spent a lot of time here and find many a wonderful thing. Again, not a perfect place, but many wonderful things. Why? Because they have a different reference point. They've actually lived someplace else. So they bring a totally different reference point to what they're saying. You, on the other hand, have never gone anywhere. Your reference point is singular. So their point of view is broader. And I think that's a problem that we have because reference points are important. Getting a broad base of experience when possible is important to have a more informed opinion. But I also think it's interesting that there are people whose identity is so wrapped up in, and it doesn't matter what it is, but for the purposes of this conversation, their dislike of this country, that they actually become angry or threatened when somebody holds a different point of view. Again, I'm not just talking about this subject. It could be any subject. It doesn't matter what the subject is. More and more with the culture that we live in, social media's influence, people are defining themselves by points of view that they hold. It's part of their identity, and when it's threatened, it's a problem for them, and they get angry, and they get hostile, and sometimes worse. That's not a good thing. That's not a positive quality. It's actually a problem when you can't hear information that's contrary to what you choose to believe, and it makes you mad or it makes you feel threatened. What you should be able to do is process it and consider it, and possibly it leads to alterations in your point of view. Possibly it doesn't, but it's not something that causes some sort of harsh and negative reaction. Why should it? Why would you wrap your identity so tightly with certain beliefs that that's a problem for you? But I think that more and more that's happening in this country with people, with social media and the algorithms that keep sending you the same stuff and all the reinforcement of a certain belief and whatnot, and people become so entrenched in their beliefs that they're not even open to a different point of view. And there's nothing good about that. Not for you as a person, not for us as a society. There's nothing good about this at all. All of us should have the willingness to hear other points of view and at least consider them. Even if we don't agree with them, we can at least consider them and hear them and look at our point of view and say, well, okay, I see some merit to that, or no, it doesn't work for me, or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But be able to hear without hostility. Strong people can have disagreements on things and challenge their views and be okay with that. Strong people can. Weak people can't. The fact that one holds a view so tightly that they get angry if someone feels differently it's not a strength. It's a weakness. It's not proof of a conviction. It's proof of an issue. Think about your situation and think about how well you take in information that disagrees with your point of view, and if you're willing to accept that and even possibly evaluate it, or if you just get hostile and reactive. If you get hostile and reactive, maybe it's time to look into that and see if you can do something about it. I'm always happy to help people who are trying to move in a more positive direction for their life. As such, my website is available in the caption. And as always, I appreciate you taking the time and hope you have a wonderful day.